So this is the Traska Venturer GMT. This is the 2026 revision of this very popular watch from Traska. So last year when I passed my Rolex Sea-Dweller down to my son, I decided I didn't want to invest my money into another luxury watch brand. I wanted to diversify my collection a little bit. I didn't want to throw everything back into one watch, but instead I wanted to find a few watches that I found particularly interesting or felt some connection to. And that got me down the Microbrand rabbit hole. And that's when I came across the very highly regarded Traska brand. And because I was looking to add a GMT into my rotation, the Venturer GMT from Traska made my short list. So Traska is an American microbrand based out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. They built a massive reputation in the watch community, and they're known for punching way above their weight class. So when they announced an updated 2026 version of the Venturer GMT, I put a calendar item in my calendar to remind me of the drop date and time to make sure I did not miss it, because I felt like this was definitely going to be a purchase for me. So this video, I'm going to show you a little bit about this watch and talk about my experience. And I've got a couple of small critiques that I think might be useful for people to know about. But first, let's talk dimensions. The case measures at 38.5 millimeters, and it's got a 46.1 millimeter lug to lug, which will fit pretty much any wrist size. But when you look at the side profile height, so the mid-case body is a super thin 10.5 millimeters with a 2 millimeter boxed sapphire crystal on top of that for a total height of 12.5 millimeters. If you're wondering what a boxed crystal actually means, it's when the sapphire rises straight up on the sides with a steep vertical sidewall, and then it flattens out across the top. It kind of mimics the 1960s acrylic crystals, but this one happens to be a sapphire crystal. And it gives the dial an incredible visual depth and allows Traska to keep that steel case body razor thin. For 2026, Traska upgraded the case architecture. The upper mid-case flanks and the lower bezel ring feature this polished concave cutout, which they borrowed from their chronograph and jump hour models, and it looks really nice. Now let me address the two most polarizing changes on this 2026 model: the lug width and the date window. So Traska moved from a 20 millimeter lug width to a 21 millimeter width. It still tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp, and it makes it super comfortable and an easy wear. But when they announced the 21 millimeter lug width, the watch forums went absolutely berserk. And I get it. If you've got a drawer full of 20 millimeter straps, I get the frustration. But on the wrist, the 21 millimeter proportion visually balances that 38.5 millimeter case diameter beautifully. And like I said, with the 16 millimeter taper, it's incredibly sleek and comfortable to wear. I think this was a good choice. I'm going to leave it on the bracelet most of the time anyway, so I've got no heartburn over the 21 millimeter lug width. So the second big point of debate is at 6 o'clock, where Traska swapped out the old rectangular date window for a circular aperture. Personally, I think the round date window looks fantastic. I've got no heartburn with that either. I could go either way though. You give me the old square one, I'm fine. You give me the new round one, I'm fine. It doesn't matter, but that was another really polarizing change that they did with this watch. So Traska offers this watch in 4 dial colors: carbon black, bottle green, which people have been reporting looks almost black in ambient light, Arctic white, and then this steel blue that I have here. The dial blank is brass coated in enamel paint, lacquered and hand polished to a high gloss finish. Another major 2026 dial upgrade is this applied 3D silver metallic logo that replaced the older printed branding. And I think it gives the dial a much more premium, multi-dimensional look. Even the printed Traska name underneath and the GMT and automatic printing looks super crisp and clean. And personally, I think that the overall dial layout is remarkably well balanced. So you also get this orange and white GMT hand, with the white, of course, being filled with lume. Covering the dial is that boxed sapphire crystal we talked about. It is treated with anti-reflective coating on the underside. And then it also has an anti-fingerprint coating on top, which I think is a nice touch. The applied indices and baton hands are diamond cut. They're a mix of brushed and polished finishes. They're filled with a Swiss grade A BGW9 Super Luminova that glows in an icy blue. So under magnification, you can see Traska's waterfall fill design, where the lume pulls cleanly right up to the edge, and it looks really nice. The internal 24-hour bezel has that same Super Luminova on the numerals. The applied print layer is so thin that lume is not going to last very long. It's there, very small amount. So back to the date aperture at 6 o'clock. Here's an interesting thing I noticed. There were some early pictures of this watch put out by Traska, and I saw a commenter talk about the off-center date inside the aperture, sort of saying, hey, we know your quality is better than that, but most people won't. So here's what happened there. It's very customary to take photos of watches with the hands at 10 and 2 because it gives you the most view of all of the features of the dial. The problem is with this particular movement, the Miyota 9075, between 10 and midnight is when the date is starting to transition. So if you set the time to 10:10 p.m., you're starting to see that date wheel rotate, and it moves the date slightly off center, and it will continue to move out of the way through the course of that 2-hour period until it clicks into the next date, which is properly centered. So if you take photos of this watch at 10:10, do it at 10:10 a.m., not 10:10 p.m., to keep that date wheel perfectly locked and centered. There's a little tip for you. All right, so now let's talk about the single best-selling point for me on this watch was the hardness treatment. Both the 316L stainless steel case and bracelet are treated to a hardness rating of 1200 Vickers. So to put that in perspective, the standard 316L stainless steel, which most watches are made of, has a hardness of around 200 Vickers. So with Traska's treatment, this watch is now 6 times harder than normal stainless steel. Now, there are a few companies that are doing 1200 Vickers hardness coatings on both stainless steel and titanium. Not a lot of microbrands are, but this has been super helpful because I'm usually pretty hard on watches. I scratch them up quite easily, particularly desk diving. On a MacBook, I tend to hit them up a little bit. So I haven't noticed anything like that on this watch. So having a watch with a 1200 Vickers hardness coating is almost becoming one of those things that I'm looking for first in a watch. So under the hood, the Venturer is powered by the Miyota 9075 automatic movement. It's running at 28,800 vibrations per hour. That's at 4 Hertz. It has a 42-hour power reserve, and it's a 24 joule movement. Factory accuracy is rated at -10 to +20 seconds per day. It's nothing to really brag about, but it is good for a daily wear watch. Because it's a true flyer GMT, pulling the crown to position 1 allows you to independently jump the local hour hand in 1-hour increments, both forwards and backwards, without stopping the second hand or losing time. So that means that you could land in a new city, in a new time zone, and quickly adjust the local time without having to reset the actual time entirely. So right now, currently on this, my local hour hand is set to my current time zone. My GMT hand is set to my home time zone, and my rotating inner bezel is actually set to UK time, since I frequently coordinate with teams in London. All right, so I've got 2 critiques for this watch, and I think that they're reasonable. First, this internal 24-hour rotating bezel. It's operated by the screw-down crown at 10 o'clock, and it's friction-based, right? So rather than click detents, it just spins freely using some gear system with the crown. However, when you go to screw the crown back down to both preserve the water protection and also lock the internal bezel in place of wherever you put it, I find that it sometimes is hard to get the crown locked into the threads without accidentally rotating the bezel, right? So I end up in this mini game of back and forth trying to lock the crown down without moving the bezel. Now, I've seen other reviewers say that that's not a problem for them. It is a problem for me that I noticed. Maybe I just need more practice. Maybe I'll get better at it. But I kind of wish Traska had some positive click detents here to keep the bezel in place when you screw down the crown. Secondly, I wish Traska used a triangle or a diamond marker or something else at the 24-hour position instead of the 24 numeral. That way you could use the internal bezel as a quick timer for random things like you would a dive watch, right? Now I can still use it for that feature. I just have to like move the 24 to where I want to put the timing mark, right? So if I want to time 10 minutes, I would put the 24 10 minutes away from my minute hand, and then I know when it hits the 24, I'm done. It would just be a lot nicer to have either a dot or a triangle or some other marker there as opposed to a time indicator. Then you could have multi-use out of this internal rotating bezel. You could use it for tracking a second time zone, or you could use it for random timing. Another thing I like about this watch is the bracelet. So this Traska updated 3-link oyster style bracelet. It has shorter articulating links and they pivot freely. They are using single pass 1.6 millimeter bracelet screw bars with built-in shoulder stops. So single pass means you're only screwing through one side to lock the link in place. You don't have like one side to hold and another side to screw. But then the shoulder stop allows you to screw it all the way down snug and not have to worry about over tightening or stripping threads. And that still allows the links to articulate freely. I still recommend applying a dab of Loctite 222 onto the pins. That's per Traska's recommendation as well. So I went through and I added 222 to all of my pins whenever I resize my watch, just to make sure that they don't loosen over time because of vibration. Then we also have the toolless micro adjustable clasp with 6 positions. They're spaced at 1.35 millimeters apart, giving you almost 8 millimeters of on-the-fly adjustment. This has become an absolute necessity for real-world wear. As a matter of fact, it's such a game changer. It's almost become a non-negotiable thing for me now. Just today out in New York City, I adjusted this clasp easily 3 or 4 times as my wrist would swell and shrink throughout the day, given temperature and humidity, how much activity I was doing. And so it was just such a nice thing to be able to make those on-the-fly adjustments without having to just wear the watch either too loose or too tight. Even better to not have to use any tools to do it with. So there is another little neat thing here that I think is worth bringing up, and that is inside the clasp fold. Traska finished the inner bridge with a hand-polished perlage pattern, and you can't see it when the clasp is closed. It's not for other people to see, but when you put on the watch, it's just a little design feature that you see that sort of lets you know that the watch is special. It's a little thing for you to see, which I think is super cool. Now, if you're watching this review and you're thinking about buying one, we do have to talk about what it's like to get this watch, because you can't just go to traskawatches.com today, as of the filming of this video, and buy this watch. The reason is it is in such high demand and in such limited release that they're dropping them in batches. And that's not uncommon for microbrands. And so the first drop of this was when I bought this one, at least sold out within minutes, and all 4 colorways. They've got another drop scheduled, and you can find that information on the page for this particular watch, at which point they will do another release and people will be waiting with calendar invites, set for themselves to remember to go buy this watch, and they will sell out pretty quickly, eventually until demand subsides, in which case maybe they'll become available for purchase on demand. But right now we kind of have to play this waiting game, wait for the drop release, get it before somebody else buys them out. I don't know what kind of quantities they are releasing at any given time. Traska is not saying how many they're releasing. It could be batches of 10 or 20 or 100. I have no idea. But if you want to buy the watch right now, you've got to go figure out when the next drop is and be ready for it. I would sign up for their newsletter. I did that, and that's when I knew that the watch was about to come out. And then I also was able to find out from that newsletter what the release date was and the release time. So if you do that, you'll be able to stay up on it. There aren't a lot of these on the secondary market, and I think that's a good thing. I think people are largely hanging on to these watches, which says a lot. Now, Traska did bump the price on this watch for 2026 to 950 USD. So that's $200 more than they had it for last year. And a lot of people were kind of groaning about that. I still think at the $1,000-ish price point, this is probably one of the best offerings in this space. You can spend a lot more money and get less watch. And I think if you spend less money, I don't know if there's another watch that offers all of the features that you can get with the Traska Venturer GMT. The true GMT movement, the 1200 Vickers hardness coating, the sapphire crystal, the internal rotating bezel, the refined bracelet, the quick adjust clasp, like all these things, that's a lot of watch for $1,000. So I think it's priced well within the range it should be in. I know people are upset that there was a price hike. So what's the final verdict for me on this watch? The 2026 Traska Venturer GMT. I really like it. I think it's exactly the watch that I was looking for, and I'm glad I made the purchase. So if you have any questions or if you have any opinions, like, are you super upset about the 22 millimeter lug width, or are you like mad about the round date window instead of the square one, or, you know, whatever your gripe is, like, let me know. I'm kind of curious. But in general, I think this is a really good watch for the money. And I think Traska is going to continue to grow and sustain their role as the highly regarded micro brand that they are. Again, out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Yeah, check them out. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.